I'm so excited about today. We're going to talk about November astrology, what is happening for us in November. And I have two beautiful ladies, my friends, Kimberly Louisa, with me today. Thank you so much for coming. I hope this video is going to be useful for you guys. So, as always, like, share, subscribe to all of our channels. Many interesting astrology topics everywhere for you. Cool. So let's start with Kimberly. Tell us who you are. Where are you from?
Hi. I'm in the States in Kentucky. So that's where I am. And I wear a lot of different hats. I play with astrology hat and human design. And then I just do like what I call soul readings that I've done forever, like 30 years. So that's what I do. And I play around with a lot of the different astrology systems. Just depends on what day I feel like this is the chart they need a reading from.
I love that. That's why I love astrology. It's so versatile and gives us, perspective from many different things. And I'm so happy that intuitively use what you feel that it's good. I like that.
Right.
Cool. Awesome, Louisa. Tell us more.
Yay.
Where are you from? You probably know Louisa from our previous lives, but it's never a bad thing to introduce yourself again for newcomers.
Okay, so I'm Louisa from Feel Good Astrology. I'm from the UK. I now live in Portugal, and I spent years hiding the fact that I was an astrologer, or I was a closet astrologer for years, and I did everything around it, as I'm sure you've both done yourselves. So I was a coach and all sorts of things. But yeah, I'm a bit experimental as well. I like using named asteroids in my work. I realized recently that I'm actually more of a channel than just I'm not an astrologer.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm less of an astrologer now than I don't know. I feel like I should be almost, because you might get more astrological sense from someone else.
No, I feel that you use astrology as a tool to actually intuitively, do your purpose, right? I think all of us get in tune with our intuitions with astrology as a tool. So that's cool. That's awesome. Cool. Okay. November. Let's see what is the first thing I want to talk about is something that is happening very soon, and that's Saturn in Pisces is stationing to go direct on the 4th of November. Why is this huge? We all know that when planets stationing to when they move directions, it's very potent energy, right? So like things happen. It's very intense. And after these eclipses that we're still feeling the aftermath, this is going to be really huge. So Kimberly, can you tell us a few words? What are your thoughts on of Saturn?
It's so hard right now to just kind of think about the individual when we're watching the whole world be in this batshit crazy moment. So I feel like that where the energy has been retrograde and we've been in that inner reflection with all of it. And then when that switches into Pisces, into that more kind of amorphous energy, it's going to hit different people really strange, because it's like that structure where it's going to like try to come in and tighten everything down. And then the, other dreamy stuff is just like, talk to the hand, it's not going to even be able to hear it. But then at the same time, I feel like people are going to be shouting at each other, but they don't hear each other at all. Like there's going to be energies like that coming up with it. But that's kind of going for the whole month too.
Yeah. So, Louisa, what is your take on Saturn?
Well, I think Saturn gets a bad rep. So I do see why Saturn is useful. Like we do need some boundaries and some kind of guidances and things. I always see Saturn as a parent. Like you've got your good parent and you've got your naughty parent. You've got the parent that's like really judgmental and coming down breathing down your neck. And you've got the good parent that's kind of supportive and nurturing and helps you move forwards. And so I think we're coming out of that phase, and going more into a nurturing parent phase. I heard that from Alexandra, actually, that we did a live stream with. She was saying that when Saturn went into Pisces, it was like the death of woo. It was like the death of magic and the death of all things mystical. And I think some of the kind of fake mysticism is going to die away. But what I've noticed as we're coming into this period is that a lot of people in my awareness that I work with and chat with and whatnot, at the moment, loads of us are talking about like finding this new sense of power in our skills, almost like whatever we've got intuitively is starting to build in seriousness. People, the people who are really intuitive and really creative and really wanting to do something very sort of universal and in consciousness, they're starting to build in their power. So I think this is a really good thing. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
And it will be moving. Yeah, I'll just be pleased for it to get moving. It's in a bit of an uncomfortable place in my chart.
Yeah, tell me about it. It's squaring my moon. It's all year long because it's going so yeah, one of those aspects. Yeah, but I do feel as well that Saturn gives us a little bit of structure. So everything that we, as you said, dreams and visions and all that intuitive work it can ground us a little bit with the Saturn, especially now with going retrograde, we can see the results and manifestations. And it's trining all this beautiful earth energy, right? Not exactly, but it's still kind of by sign at least. So I do feel that it's a little bit of groundedness happening, like more of practicality.
I think I agree. I think it's in a lot of aspects in this month ahead, because obviously, right now we've got things going through Scorpio, but as we get into the second and third week, or is it third? Hang on. When does the sun is it week 4?
Sun is moving to Sagittarius on the 22nd. Then we have Mars on the 24th. And
they're gonna be at 0 degrees in Sagittarius the week of Thanksgiving. Everyone's gonna be feeling that coming in. So there's gonna be this massive square. A square to the sun and a square to Mars. And
Mercury is going into Sagittarius on the 10th.
So that's
also going to be a picture, right?
Yeah, so it's a lot of squares. And then at the full moon on the 27th, it's a T-square with Saturn. So Saturn's really important in this month ahead. It's going to put us through our paces.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. So we still have this scorpionic energy in the beginning of the month before we go to the Sag month. There's going to be a big shift. Like last month we had from Libra to Scorpio, big shift. This month we're going to feel it because a lot of planets. It's not just the sun changing signs, right? It's a bunch of them. But before that, Venus is moving to Libra. So I'm interested. What do you have to say about that? Because she's going to be at home and she's going to rule that South Node. So in her home sign, and she's going to touch it eventually as well. So what do you feel about that, Louisa? You go first with this one.
Well, I think Venus in Libra is nice. I think it's really sweet. I don't really have much of a sense of Libra. I'm awful. Okay. I was hoping you'd ask Kimberly first, because are you a Libra?
Okay, Kimberly? Go Kimberly. It's okay, go Kimberly. You go first.
Because Kimberly's got a real sense of what it is to be a Libra. I've just got my Pluto there, so I've a bit. I
feel like it's going to soften some things up and bring maybe some more compassion, to the conversation. But at the same time, because of the other players that's hanging out with, in the Scorpio with the Mars and Mercury energies dancing, through all of that at the same time. What I just saw with that, it's like the rowdy, like they're, like all, like causing up the chaos. And she walks in like in that very peaceful Zen, place, and that her energy can quieten a room. And it's not going to be through trying to speak to them. It's like just being in your center. If you use it that way, it's going to have more imprint on to others in your field. Does that make sense? I just channeled that. I don't even know.
It's good. I like it. A little bit of it. We're gonna need a little bit of peace and quiet with all this scorpionic and war energy in the sky. And just before she goes to Libra, she's gonna oppose Neptune. So that's
Mhm.
going to be foggy as well. We're going to be in a dreamy land for a while, right? What are your thoughts on that?
I think that she's going into an opposition with Neptune, and then the day after you've got an opposition between Mercury and Uranus. So if you think like Venus is like Neptune's the higher harmonic of Venus, and Uranus is a higher harmonic of Mercury. So it's interesting. You've got like the two like love frequencies, and then you've got the two thinking frequencies in opposition to each other a day apart. And so the way I see it is we've got this kind of this sort of decision between selfless and practical love. And I'll be really happy to see. I mean, I don't really get the sort of Libra energy so much. I have got, that's my only air in my chart. I'm really not that grounded in it. But I do look forward to seeing Venus coming out of Virgo, because she seems, I don't think Venus is meant to get her hands dirty. I don't think she's meant to be put to hard work.
I think meant to do gardening. No gardening for Venus.
I could see her definitely doing gardening for sure. More in I think she should like Venus. I mean, goddess of love. I mean, I really like what you were channeling there, Kimberly, about her being serene and graceful, and being really in her power. I mean, that's really beautiful. And if her going into Libra brings out this sort of diplomacy, a gracefulness, where she's not getting involved and getting her hands dirty, but I do think with the Libra energy that they are able to stay out of a situation and kind of sit on the fence a little bit. But I think that's really useful. We need that energy right now. I mean,
we need that right now too. But I was also thinking,
this is how it is.
Yeah, and you know what I got with that when you were saying that was I saw those scales, and it's like if she can stay in that and not go into the judge. And weigh it all out, because Libra can send you to hell in a second. She'll go, oh, black heart, that's it. She can be that, but then she can also, be rather a bitch.
Yes, and it's interesting because I think there are quite a few really strong Libran politicians. And so, whilst it looks like a really great balanced sign, it can also be, I don't know, like judging a bit like the Judgment card. But anyway, like with the Venus in opposition to Neptune, I really think we're being sort of like asked, are we going to be practical in our love, or are we going to sort of expand? And then the very next day, we're being asked, are we going to have our intelligence downloaded to us? Are we going to actively open up and receive? Or are we just going to take what's given to us in a very mundane way? I think it's a choice point at the beginning of week 1 when all of that's happening. I think we are being pulled apart a little bit, because that's 2 personal planets, in opposition to 2 outer planets. Like we're being pulled apart at the seams. I think it's interesting.
I'm kind of hoping that we're going to have a little bit of maybe ceasefire on a global level, just maybe a little bit of truce or something, at least for a while, maybe some kind of agreement, although we can always hope. I just feel that maybe she'll bring some kind of at least, because really what the world is about now, it's not nice.
So, you know what, this morning when I was looking at that energy, I thought, who is she that can walk in and just like, and then everybody, listen? It's like, who is that? Who embodies that? Who can walk in and do it? I couldn't find anybody. I was like in the pile of all of the, political whatever, or whoever could, like be that thing. And I thought, oh hell, I think the Palladians are just going to have to land. I think it's going to have to coming from some other place, and that that there could be something even bigger happen that to take people's attention off of what they're doing, because humans are not getting it.
Yeah, and I'm thinking also because South Node is in Libra, it's endings of all these agreements, and all this stuff it's not just personal relationships. On a global level, like everything is dissolving. I mean, Neptune is involved, so we can see right, maybe dissolving this. on a bad side. I just hope that we can find at least some kind of peace, and that she's going to bring for this few weeks at least some kind of peace this month. But I don't know.
I mean, she's in a really strong trine for a lot of the
Yeah.
month, you know, with Pluto and Uranus.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. Yeah. So that's important, maybe.
Yeah, really important.
Yeah.
You know, like I as much as I'd love for someone to come down and take over the world for us and kind of raise us all up.
Yeah.
I really think it's an inside job. I think we've got all got to do it, and it really doesn't seem like we're all getting it. But I am seeing signs of movement. I'm seeing signs of opening, and I'm seeing a lot of people. You know, it's interesting, like that you're talking about, like the sitting on the fence and maybe separating us. I'm seeing a lot of people not actively getting into the conflict and the discussions on the conflict. I thought people would go bananas about it, and I can see on social media there's a lot of influencers that are going bananas about it and trying to sway their millions or billions of followers. But I'm not noticing that so much on a personal level. I'm actually seeing that a lot of people are kind of sitting back and observing. I think people are quite tired of being pulled one way and then pulled another. So,
and not knowing what's true with that, what we're talking about too, with those planets and what's there. I was thinking, I got that earlier too, when we were talking with, even with not knowing what's true, and that with that Saturn in the Pisces, what we were talking about there, I saw like restrictions trying to be put on some of the AI, and they don't even know how to put the structure around it because they don't understand it enough. That the AI doesn't know enough. But to me, all of that is a reflection of what we're going through internally. You know, it's like creating from another level while the O structure is still trying to hold it back. And I think we're going to see a whole lot of that, of not knowing, people standing back and being in their center because they don't know what's real. You can't have an opinion because you don't know what's real.
Exactly. Yeah. And none of us know what's real anymore, do we? Unless we're personally involved in any of these conflicts.
Yeah. That's true.
None of us know.
Yeah, that's true. You have to be very, discernment is a very strong word these days, because you have to be, otherwise you get lost in all this nonsense. Actually,
well, I love that you said discernment. And Kimberly, you were saying, what will it take for someone to just be able to walk into the room? And I used to think, oh, it would be somebody that is love, somebody who is the epitome of love, that could just walk in, would just wow everyone. But actually, I think it is authenticity. And that's like a theme that's been coming up a lot for me recently in my conversations with people, like authenticity, like when somebody knows the truth of who they are, that really does influence people. That really does wow people. So someone's in their calm authority, i.e. like what you said, Jasmina, in their discernment. And I actually think Venus in Libra is probably quite discerning.
Yeah.
They dress well, they look after themselves, they don't overextend themselves, they're quite balanced. I mean, I worked for many years in banking, and all of the highly polished people that worked as client services managers, there was a real sort of Libran vibe that we call them, no offense to any Librans here, sorry, but we used to call them the martini girls, because they were always so beautiful, like everything, beautiful, pleased. They never kind of got really angry. They never were dispassionate. They were always really measured. And it's really beautiful.
Yeah. So we'll see. Maybe this Venus in Libra will help us to get some kind of, maybe at this point we need to kind of just be martini girls, would you say, and just don't get involved.
Hang on, I've got a file on my desk actually. I wonder if I'll get a martini delivered to me.
Yeah, that's cool. Okay, so next, let's go next. Next, we have then Mercury changing signs. So he's gonna go to Sag on the 10th of November. So I know he's in Scorpio now. It can be very, harsh. Mercury in Scorpio, very harsh, very brutal. The words can hurt. So it can be hurtful, right? If you don't, it was connected with Mars as well. We saw this month. So so at this point, I hope that Mercury in Sag will give us some kind of optimism, joyfulness, in our everyday life. What do you guys think? And you're a Sag, so tell us.
Yeah, I've also got my Mercury in Sag, and it's not the happiest. It's not the happiest in Sagittarius, is it? It's at its detriment in Sagittarius, because like I guess Mercury's happiest in your sign. You're a Gemini, aren't you?
Yes, and I have a Gemini Mercury. Yeah.
Okay, so like he's happy like when he knows about facts, there's the stories behind things, but like the facts, the numbers, the statistics, and like hard and fast information, and he likes to learn information really, really quickly. Whereas Sagittarian Mercury, we like to tell a story and it might be quite long and it doesn't always have a very clear context or focus, which is like how I'm communicating. And so I think there could be a lot of misinformation around this time. I do hope it's optimistic. I think it will help people who are not used to being contextual, like people that just like, I saw it in the paper, it said this, and they just reflect back what they've read, but they don't go any deeper. I think
like my grandmother. Sorry for interruption. My grandmother used to say, it was on TV. And then that was it. She saw it on TV. That's the truth, right? That was, that was her. Oh my God. So those kind of things. Yes. And the Sag Mercury can overreact as well, right? Because he wants to make it interesting. So there can also be a little bit of not as it seems, like more maybe over the
dramatic.
Top. Yeah. So what do you think, Kimberly?
Yeah, and when you were saying that, I saw it as like Sag, like wandering over here and and being telling some big story, and then kind of here's more energy over here, so they wander over to the next little group, and it's like because there's more energy coming this way, and this sounds more exciting, like being pulled off of the past because to see what the adventure is, and then but it looks like they wander back. They will eventually wander back to the other conversation, but in all of the conversations at once. So I don't know what that's going to be about.
I mean, that's quite cool. That's quite a cool thing to recognize, because given that like lots of people in the US are going to be sat at a dinner table with each other, possibly for a few days. If people are able to have these conversations that are able to dip in and out of, that could be quite beneficial. Although there's a lot of really horrible aspects around that time. But if people can, I think it could be, I think it could be fun. But I'm not going to be sat on those tables.
I'm gonna sit down and try to share the new moon chart, so we have a reference. There you go. Do you see it?
Yeah.
Because I think we are coming up to a new moon, which is happening on the 14th. On the 13th of November.
Yeah.
This is set up for where I live, so it's like a New York time. So just I'm making a note. So for you're gonna be different houses, so we can't look the houses, but we can see the energy. So look at that.
Yeah.
All the Scorpion energy.
Yep.
Go, ladies, shoot. What are we gonna have for this new moon?
Well, both Kimberly and I have got Scorpio ascendant, so this could be a big one. Where's it going to be in your chart, Kimberly? Is it going to be in your 12th or your 1st?
My 1st.
Same here.
Yeah.
So you're having a party.
It's a lot of illumination. That feels like, there's a lot of illumination coming in, and it's funny because I'm already like out ahead thinking about what Mars is going to do on the 17th and 18th when it goes in that Kazumi. That it's like it's not here, but it feels like I don't know why is my little Libra already getting pulled to that. I can almost feel this magnetic pull.
Yeah, there's a lot of water. Sorry, there's a lot of water in this chart, right? So it's going to be again, Scorpio, intense emotions. I feel that,
oh yeah, a lot of emotions coming up. Yeah.
Right.
Trying to stay stable in all of the waves of emotion could be the challenge. Yeah.
And there's lack of fire. So, not really a motivation to do anything. Maybe we could just soak or something, people might, because for the new moons, we should try something new. I don't think we're going to feel it this time. I don't know. That's just my sense. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm quite excited about this one.
Okay, personally good.
Because Mars is a ruler of Scorpio, so it's really strong in there, and I think there's this sense of vitality, and of course Mars in a conjunction with the Sun. You know, like if there are a couple of planets really to indicate vitality, it would be the Sun and Mars. Though I do recognize that Uranus is at 21 degrees in Taurus, right opposite the Sun, the Moon, and Mercury, and Ceres as well. Because let's not forget Ceres. I think Ceres is a good influence. You know, she helps us nurture ourselves, and she helps us do a lot of things at the same time. So I see that wherever this falls in your chart, it could really bring up a really sort of busy sense of purpose. But as you feel motivated, I always think with oppositions, there's something of projection going on. So whatever is in opposition to a planet is projecting something that you're not quite owning in the other planet, and vice versa. And I've had, when I had my Uranus opposition, my progressed moon was also actually right on my Uranus, and I had a load of massive projection issues, you know, like where I was moving forwards, there would be people or situations in my periphery that were there to shock, because it's Uranus. It was really coming from the unconscious, and of course Scorpio is quite a hidden sign. There's a lot of secrets there. So I think we can move forwards and feel really quite purposeful, but the opposition to Uranus is likely to bring us up into some fierce opposition. And I think if we're trying to move forwards and things are opposing us, we might ask ourselves, does this belong to me? Does this criticism belong to me? Is there something in my ego? Is there something about me, given, like, you know, that the Sun is very much about the ego, the Moon is very much about the psyche? You might ask yourself, is there something that I'm avoiding, that I can't face in myself? Is there a big secret, a big unconscious secret that I'm holding on to? So I think this could actually really be a big slap in the face for some people. But I think a lot of people, if you're ready to face yourself, I think this new moon could be quite beneficial. It's in a trine with Neptune, which is helpful. And, you know, Neptune can be quite tricky, I think. But, you know, seeing it in a trine to the Moon, the Sun, and Mars, and also Ceres, and then in that lovely sextile to Uranus, I think we can have some real awakening and insights, really deep insights. And if we're lucky, we'll have people around us that can help us make sense of it.
I like that. I like that.
It's just like watch your dream times. It feels like that could be a time, or when you should be in dream time, but then you may be in conscious awakening dream time. Like it feels like that kind of energy could be there. Yeah,
you're so right. I'm really liking this because it's helpful for me, because it's in my first house, and so I'm thinking, woohoo, got an opportunity to reinvent myself.
Exactly. So we want to rewrite and redream in that we all should be like it's like, let's dream in a new world together.
Which house is it in your chart, Jasmina?
So it's in my second, because I'm a late Virgo rising, so this is my second house. Cool. So we'll see how that reflects on my finances.
Some money with venture.
I was just looking, and I had my lunar return yesterday. I sometimes look at those charts, and it's all about money next month. So this is just confirming that. But I have to say something. Maybe I don't want to be a downer, but with Uranus opposing Mars, watch out for accidents. Like this is
yeah.
And you guys have it in the first house, so really be careful not to, you know, especially your nose. Mars rules nose or stuff. You can just bump your head or nose, you know. So just those little things. But it can also be in a transport, in a car or something. I just want to let people know.
Thank you very much for that. Do you know what? Like, I mean, when I saw
scheduling surgery, stay away from the knives.
Like on a world scale, you know, Uranus in opposition to Mars is really explosive. Especially since Mars is in his own house, and it's a new moon, and things are often very unstable. And, you know, it's also a dark moon. We don't really know what's going to come up, you know. and it's Scorpio, which really adds to that. So I mean, I think on a world level, it could be really explosive and
Yeah, it could be
catastrophic.
explosives underwater. Because when we were
Yeah.
speaking earlier into it, I kept seeing that, like,
Yeah.
and like, was it you, Jasmine, that said, I don't want to be negative here? And I thought, but I
Yeah.
kept seeing that like something explosive underwater.
Yes.
Yeah, Neptune is involved, so we can have
Yeah.
issues with floods or with stuff like that, or some kind of explosions underwater. Yeah, who knows what they're going to experiment on? I just hope maybe they're going to test some bombs in the water. Like everything is possible. It's crazy.
Jasmina, I loved what you said there. Who knows what they're going to experiment on?
Exactly.
I love how you've revealed something there. Do you know what? You guys are so right. I mean, like, think of like pipelines being blown up, internet connections, things like that. I really wouldn't be surprised if anything like that happened. But there's been a lot of storms recently, and like the three Gorgeous Dam. You know, I'm not on I don't like watch it regularly, but every now and again, you know, I've heard that there's loads of cracks around that area. So flooding is a massive thing. But whenever I see anything like this and there's some kind of world conflict going on, I make it my mission not to go to any capital cities. I mean, I'm really quite risk averse. So I'm going to be watching my nose, and I'm going to be going out with arnica homeopathy in my handbag.
Yeah, I heard many people are actually, because of all this, what is happening, are just canceling trips. I heard like on some of my clients, some of the friends, they're just canceling trips. They don't want to go. They just don't feel safe, which is worrisome in my case. I just feel that it's not, I don't know. I don't like that. I wanted to mention something else. Look at the Pallas Athena is still in Libra here, but she's going to go to Scorpio on the November 19th. And she's all about strategic, thinking and planning and strategizing. So when she comes to, so we might feel with Venus in Libra a little bit of maybe peace on the outside, but from, I think, down deep hidden, there's going to be some strategic planning going on behind the scenes on the global level. So watch out also in your life, like people who have this, especially in the house of work or career or home, maybe just for behind the scenes energy here.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that really tails into like what you were saying before, about people canceling trips and things. I think this is a time when we really need to be, dare I say, I know there's loads of governments out there saying, oh, we should lock down and look what's happening. This is about to happen. I think like my own sense for myself is we don't really want to go too far at the moment. And we're really happy. We're making sure we've got enough resources of everything we need. Because there's a lot in Scorpio. Scorpio is the 8th house. The 8th house is like shared resources. So, I'm making sure I've got enough to share with my family, but also thinking, well, what shared resources do I use with other people? Water, electricity. It's not just all about toilet rolls and getting enough food. I think it's time for us to be really, really resourceful and back plan. And I think we need to find a place to be where we're really happy to be in case we get cut off from things. That's going a bit deeper than I was expecting to share today.
I know, but go ahead, Kimberly. Go ahead.
Well, when she was saying that, I was then like this stuff was coming up around the grid, like because with Uranus and also with Neptune and then all of the watery stuff, it's like there could be, I was seeing like lightning bolts, but it could be like knocking out, electrical grids and things like that. There could be some of that going on during that time period.
Power shutdown, like no power.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah,
and then
it's interesting that you're talking about like there was the mention that things might be kind of blown up underground, and then there's this idea that things might be taken out. With that, there is this idea that maybe maybe it's not all naturally occurring things, and that there might be I don't know, like this harsh lessons that a lot of us are learning at the moment.
I mean, that's what
there's a big awareness, a big shift in how people are thinking at the moment, and realizing what we see is not actually
what I mean. Earth just showed me more than once. It's like it's what humanity is doing, whether we're conscious or unconscious about it, and where she's ascending in those and the templates, the grids, like she can't even naturally breathe because everything we're doing to Earth and the fracting, just all the different stuff that we're doing is moving her templates, and she's trying to adjust them back, so that's why all of these earthquakes and storms, and whether humanity is consciously doing it or even if it's unconscious, we're the ones that's doing all this shit. It's like we're creating the disruptions on Earth. One way or another, we're the ones doing it.
I love what you said, like, so if we're doing it consciously or unconsciously, or it could also be both.
Right.
You were talking about, like, we went to a sort of global level, but of course if this is all shifting at a global level, it's also going to be shifting at a personal level. So I think we are going through these kinds of inner shifts ourselves. Like the shift is hitting the fan. I think in November. We are under extraordinary stress right now. And that's our emotions, like the water is our emotions. We've got a chance to our unconscious. There's a lot of stirring going on right now.
We've got Mars going into that Gazimi on the 17th, which is already going to be in that energy. And Mars hasn't been in the heart of the sun in that position since 1991. So it's like, where was it in 91 for you? Well, and 91, 93 energy. So it's a reflection of things then and what house that was for you personally and what you're going to be going through. A reflection of that. And then it'll go like under, and then it rises in January. So it's like, it'll be, Mars is going to like die in the heart of the sun and be that way until it rises up in January. So I keep thinking, now what is that going to do to the world? If Mars, there could, I don't know. It's like, that's almost like too big to imagine all of it of what can happen during this.
To be honest, in 1991, there was a war in Croatia. So I mean, anyway, I experienced some kind of a war. I went to Canada for a year and I went back, but I was saying that was also very volatile. And many people, changed their lives. So the same thing. So, when you have war, it changes lives forever. It's just like a, Scorpio and Pluto, and you can understand what it means to a rebirth, starting from scratch and starting over. So sometimes you need to kind of put everything down so you can start rebuilding on a fresh ground. So that's why you have to kind of demolish everything. I think that's kind of an energy, even on a personal level. Everything that we are kind of fighting with, we need to kind of clear the deck so we can build new on the new. Because if you try to repair it, I think Libra energy was more about repairing. You have like a broken vase, you want to repair it. You have to just buy a new one or build a new one, create a new one in a pottery class. That's how I feel this energy is.
I like that analogy.
I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Very nice. And it is a time of great clearing for sure.
Yeah. Right. Like, some things you can repair. We got to kind of acknowledge, be aware. I think Uranus is going to make us aware. Like, this is it. Like, there's no, beyond repair. Okay. So that's the new moon. Okay. I'm going to, what else do we have for this new moon before we switch? Okay. I'm going to move us to a full moon, and then if I can, I'll try. Okay. And then we can go from the new moon to full moon, see what's happening there. Yeah, there's the full moon on the 27th. What do we have here? It's a little bit different, right? So it's more fire. So the new moon was very watery. This is very fiery. Right? totally different energy. And in between, we have the, as you mentioned, Kimberly, Sun and Mars Kazim. I mean, they're going together, and that's going to be. And then Sun is going to sextile. Mars and Sun are going to sextile the Pluto before the full moon as well. So in between, we're going to have that. That's going to be hopefully nice. What do you guys think?
17th and 18th are big days.
Yeah.
Massive days. Because you've also, like, you've got the Sun and Mars together. But on the 18th, the moon also goes into a conjunction with Pluto.
Yeah, I should have pulled up that chart. I totally didn't think about it. Okay.
Oh, no. You know, so, I mean, it's a huge day. It's a huge power day, isn't it? You know, with the Sun in a conjunction with Mars. Exactly.
Yeah.
And the moon exactly conjunct Pluto. It's huge. But that's the chart for the 27th of November. What I really notice is, you know, we've got this T-square with Saturn.
Yes.
You know, so the Sun and Mars are square Saturn. Thankfully, Saturn's moving forwards. The moon, square Saturn. You know, so I've got this book called, oh, crikey, I can't remember what it's called now. Something like the games that people play. And it's by an astrologer called Spencer Grenfell, I think. I'm not doing a very good advert for it, but he talks about transactional analysis. So the idea that, you know, in our personality, we have the parent archetype, we have the sort of assertive person, you know, the grown-up person, and then we have the child archetype. And each of us can flip in and out of our inner child, our inner critic, which is like the parent, and we can also be very assertive as an adult. So we've got parent, adult, child is what he's saying. And he's saying that, you know, Saturn is the parent, the Sun is the adult, and the moon is the child. And his book's great. So I often, you know, when I'm looking at astrology and I see the Sun, the moon, and the and Saturn in some kind of aspect together, I always think, okay, so what's going on here in terms of our archetypes? You know, they're all in opposition. You know, so what that's saying to me is we're not able to comfortably move between these natural states of our persona. So, you know, like, I mean, if you look in your chart, for instance, which out of these three planets, which of these charts is more aspected? So, for instance, in mine, in my chart, like the moon is really heavily aspected. So I definitely have more of a childlike style. I'm not very adult, but I notice people with lots of Sun aspects are very grown up. You know, they're very balanced. They don't tend to get childish and foolish. They, you know, they're really quite cool. And then people with a really strong Saturn often, you know, take on so much responsibility. And so in this chart, like, which is really ruling, which is taking control? None of them. And so, you know, who are we being in this moment? And what possibilities are there with this full moon? You know, it's like the psyche and the personality are kind of at odds with each other, and they're tied up in chains. Yeah, it's a really big day. And of course, you know, the moon, Mars is involved still. And Ceres is nearby as well.
It is going to be about vision. I think it's going to be about vision of a new start. As I said, you know, I'm just thinking we cleaned it up all in Scorpio. We kind of cleaned it up, and now there's a vision for a new start here. Like, although it's a full moon, but I still feel it's going to be like a full moon from a vision perspective. And then Uranus is in conjunct Venus, so there's going to be this scratch, you know, to break free from, you know, old stuff that we don't like.
Well, I like that you're making it into a big vision. I like that. That's nice.
Yeah, it feels like that when we let go of the old, then the new vision can come. It's like the new vision's right there, but you can't see it because all this old shit's in front of it.
Yeah, right.
I know there's clear water here somewhere, but there's too much stuff floating on the top. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
I don't know. I mean, Sagittarius for me is always about, the big picture, right? About seeing, more than we can grasp, right?
Yeah.
So, right.
Well, and that's I mean, that's what the world needs right now is a new vision, and to bring the energy in that way. There was something I saw in my notes when I was scanning through financial wise. What do you all see coming up with all of this stuff with the Uranus and Taurus and the
Mhm.
Jupiter, and with all of these different oppositions, the Scorpio?
Louisa,
Yeah.
can you take that?
I I was a bit worried around week 1 because I think there's like with the oppositions, because earlier I mentioned that we've got the opposition between Venus and Neptune, which is like the grounded love via sort of expanded love, and then the next day you've got Mercury in opposition to Uranus. But
That's
actually on
happening
the
this
3rd,
Friday. So this is happening this Friday, this Saturday. So this is like in a couple
oh
of days.
gosh, yes, it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's coming up on us.
Yeah.
We've also got Jupiter in opposition to the Sun. So it's like 3 massive oppositions between the 3rd and the 4th. And to me, I just think, Uranus in the sign of Taurus, as far as I can see, is about a new financial system. And right at the start, I remember recording some videos about it in 2017, 2018, about how we might start to see money differently, and consider different like values about it. Like, are we going to go into a cooperative, or are we going to become people that share our resources, which is kind of Uranian and very sort of hippie, or the very sort of cryptocurrency type thing. And I don't profess to have any real knowledge of banking, but I am aware that there are some massive swings. And I've got quite a few books on financial trading, astrological trading, not because I've got skills in it, but because I was fascinated and I was doing a private project for somebody. And I know from the books I've been reading that when there are big oppositions, things really, really change. Around the time of the eclipses, there's masses of change. And there were loads of indicators. When I was looking, I was thinking there's indicators of instability, like massive instability. Obviously, we've had Pluto change signs and then change back again. So we are coming into this big time, and obviously like Pluto's going back into Aquarius in January, then coming out again, then he's going back in. So he's going back in twice in 2024. Between now and 2024, I really think there is going to be a shift into more of an electronic currency. I wish that wasn't true, actually, because I think we're going to lose power. I mean, it depends who ends up owning it. If the people own it, I think it will be quite helpful. Like the whole idea of Bitcoin, or not Bitcoin, but just coin in general, is the fact that it's itemized. We can check that there's no fraud, and we can have it working for all of us. But if it's brought in and made to look like it's for the people and of the people, but it's not, then it could be disastrous because we all lose our freedom. So I think there are rumblings of this going on this week.
I feel that this month especially, but it's all brewing, but it's about governments and their stability. Everybody's in so much debt. Look at
yeah.
But who does all that belong to? I mean, like,
well, and it shows that it's all just a big illusion anyway, and that none of it's really real. That we just make up numbers and print stuff, and I don't know. I'm hoping with all of it. I mean, we know these systems have to collapse in order for us to come into balance, for humanity to get out of its greed and everything else. But so I hope that like the positive that Taurus brings in sustainability. It's like that there's some big, it's like, okay, how do we bring it in that it's just this big hug from Earth? And there's going to be a lot of stuff about sustainability again. People looking at that and being in fear and not sure and all of that stuff. So it's kind of like,
Yes, Scorpio also rules investments. And you know how before, if you wanted a stable investment, you would buy government bonds or stuff. No, I don't want to do that anymore. Because you know what I'm saying? Like if governments issue bonds, you buy those bonds, but they're just paying off debt. Like what is that bond actually worth? The governments are not worth anymore. Like you know what I'm saying? It goes deeper and deeper. I just feel that we shouldn't support that. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that the Scorpio gets the secrets too. I mean, that's what the Scorpio energy is about, shining, you know, the light and the transformation to the secrets. So there's going to be a lot of that stuff going on too. You know, the is butt naked kind of energy. It's like, yeah.
I mean, if you think like Scorpio or the 8th house, it's all about taxes as well as investments as well. And when people find out what the tax money's been spent on, I think there's going to be quite a lot of outcry about that. You know, that people's tax money is funding wars that people aren't even signing up for. Or, you know, I think there's, and with Uranus in Taurus, I mean, Taurus is about our resources, you know, like, you know, Taurus is, if you take it to like represent the 2nd house, for instance, it's very much about the stability we create for ourselves. So I think we are being invited to get the balance back in our favor, but how that happens, I don't know.
I feel Pluto in Aquarius will help us. I hope that Pluto in Aquarius will help us to do a revolution. Like the world needs a revolution. Like we need to say stop because this is crazy. Like literally,
it needs a love-evolution. It needs to be
love-evolution. I love that.
Love-evolution. I love that. We need a love-evolution. Oh, Kimberly, that's beautiful.
We need that. Like everybody needs their lava lamps.
Yeah.
So hopefully that's what will come from all of it. Yeah.
I mean, I really, I mean, I guess whatever's going on, I mean, I try to live by the premise that what is what's right. Because if I realized what wasn't right, I would really suffer. So I've got that belief system to help me stay sane. But if I, you know, like going from the idea that what is what's right, you know, I always think, well, you know, with Pluto and Aquarius, I can see the 2 poles that are possible. You know, I can see that we could go super AI and we could have every single fart expression and like, you know, every micro expression, it could be analyzed to within an inch of its life. There'd be sensors everywhere, like, you know, and people injected with chips, you know, like reporting back about where they are and what they're doing and what their internal body temperature is and heart rate, et cetera, you know, to me that just feels like an electronic prison. But the polar opposite of that could also be true, you know, that we could go into this place almost like a telepathic transformation. And I tend to find like what Dolores Cannon talks about, like the bifurcation of humanity. I think there are going to be people that sit on the fence and try and hold on to both sides, like holding on to both sides of the world. I mean, you know, if the whole idea of vibration and frequency is true, if we tend to go in our own directions, I wonder if we'll end up creating the worlds we want to live in, and then other people will live in their other worlds. Because, you know, you can see a car crash and, you know, loads of different people can see it and they will all experience something very differently. So I wonder if it's possible that we all could live in the world that we want to live in.
Don't we already?
Yeah, we do. I mean, that's a good point. I mean, one thing that strikes me at the moment, it's not about left or right. It's not about conservative type views or liberal type views. What I see at the moment is there are people that want to just live their lives and make their own decisions, which is very much an Aquarian thing. And then there are people that want to tell people how they should live their lives for the better of everyone, which is also an Aquarian thing, but in a different way. You know, it's like the humanitarianism that becomes the slightly creepy mom that is like a helicopter mom. You know, like we've got this kind of humanitarianism now that is so nurturing that it's killing us all. It's starving us of our own individual freedom. And then there's people that are just like, I'm independent. I just want to do my own thing. So yeah, sorry, I'm a bit of a waffler. You can tell I've got.
No, it's okay. It's okay. yeah, we can kind of wrap up the November theme anyway. I think.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. It's
That
okay.
wasn't
It's
so much
okay.
about
I love
November, and
that's all connected, Louisa. This is all connected. We can't go from energies. We can't separate this energy from that energy. You know, they're happening at the
Right.
same time, simultaneous, whatever. Sometimes I just can't talk. So as a Gemini, I can't find the right word. But we are finishing the month. So after this full moon, the last thing that is happening is Venus touching the north, is opposing the north node, touching the south node. So that's going to be interesting on the 29th of November, the last touch. So what do you guys think to finalize this Venus and November thing, touching the nodes? Is it going to be significant or no?
Yeah, it's a karmic dusting, and it's like it depends on how much work you do between now and then of be trick or treat, of how do you get the treat or will you get the trick?
Yeah. We'll see tonight. We'll see tonight how it goes, right?
Right. Will we still be living in that world we created in the past, or will we have broken through the veils and be in that new world and creating from that place? Yeah. Especially with it North and South Pole.
Yeah. Well, yeah, something will happen for sure. Something will happen for sure. So overall, just in a few words, what would you say? What would be the November theme? If you would have to say it in a 1-2 sentences, what would be the overall theme of November?
Trick or treat. I mean, it's like it's perfectly it's not Halloween. It is a real true trick or treat month. Yeah.
I would say resurrection. Like we got the chance to do it.
Right.
I would say choice. We got choice, like cosmic choice. Burst like loads of words.
Yeah.
But I like how Kimberly did it. You got that.
Absolutely. With the Scorpio energy. Yeah. I'm kind of thinking about, it's going to be, for me, I feel like it's going to be cleanup time before the new visions come in. So that's how I feel this month will go. But overall, it's going to be exciting. I always say use the energies wisely, people. So whatever happens in your everyday lives, use the energies wisely and try to be, kind and, just acknowledge that other people are going through the same BS as all of us. So trying to understand and have some understanding for the other person, whoever it is. It's always good. Right. Yep. I want to thank you. I appreciate you coming to this my first bigger live. And Louisa, I'll see you in a month for the full moon for a year ahead. It's going to be excited. Yeah. All the best to everybody. Have a great November. If you have any comments, questions, leave them in the comments. We'll get back to them as soon as we can. Cool. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you so much for hosting this, and thanks to everyone that watched. And
yeah, I just posted the comments. I didn't have time to. Next time we'll talk more. But anyway, bye guys.
Bye.